So it should have launched, I believe. I have a red dot in the corner.
Yeah, perfect.
But maybe you can edit that bit out afterwards. But anyway, without further ado, I'd like to just to launch into it. So I have a quick introduction on in general what we're talking about when we talk about Horizon Europe and the different opportunities, and then before we go into some specifics on the calls themselves. So for those who aren't aware, so it's the ninth framework program. There's 95 billion euros that have been budgeted from 2021 to 2027. And what's particularly of interest to us is the second pillar, where we have a number of clusters where in the domain of green manufacturing, we've got a lot of opportunities that have been already opened and closed, and then another few that will be opening in the next 2 years also. Which is part of the section that we've done for you today. So in particular, so digital industry and space, climate, energy, and mobility, and then some calls from time to time in the food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture, and environment. But they're probably a little less. That last cluster is probably a little less relevant to our discussions today. Sorry, I was just trying to get the whole page up at the same time. So in general, in European funding, and specifically when we're talking about Horizon Europe, we have three types of projects. So research and innovation actions, which are collaborative projects, which are a relatively low TRL level, so technology readiness level, and so a little bit ahead of the commercialization as well. So we're on technology readiness levels that are about 3 to 5. So basically coming out of the laboratory, coming out of academic studies and being tested for the first time in an industrial environment. And in the companies that are willing to develop the technologies. Because it's slightly riskier, it's financed usually up to 100%. And so it's an interesting funding model. And then we have innovation actions, which are a little bit higher in terms of TRL and are starting to get a bit closer to the market. So we have TRL 5 to TRL 8. And as there is a little less risk involved, there's still a lot of risk, but there's a little less risk involved. We have a slightly different specific funding, which is 60 to 70% for businesses, for companies, and 100% funding for non-profits, so academia and research. A little less relevant to what we're going to talk about today, but there's also coordinated support actions, which for clusters and for business support organizations are very interesting opportunities and which are usually 100% funded. And they aim to put in place measures to globally to help companies integrate new technologies, to develop new skills. Could be any number of internetworking activities also, but to kind of raise the level on a European-wide basis with similar organizations who work together throughout Europe. Sorry, up. So obviously they're very attractive budgets. The funding rates, so from 70 to 100%. And the fact that we can propose projects that are several million euros, which goes quite far beyond a lot of regional and national funding that's available. And so it's they're attractive in terms of the budget and funding rates. It's an interesting way to develop your international network and your visibility at the European level. Obviously, you can participate in high-level research and development. What's inherent kind of in the construction of the consortiums that go, and we'll talk about that just in a moment, is that it can often, if you're an SME, it's a very interesting way to get in touch with large companies and contractors on a European level that maybe might not have been in your direct network, but it could be an interesting way to start to work with them through European projects and through use cases that have been identified on the project. And then obviously all of the cluster support organizations and the European Cluster Alliance for Green Manufacturing are here to support your preparation. So you're not alone. So just a typical project usually should be about 3 to 4 years. We have a budget in the Horizon Europe the Horizon Europe program, excuse me, that's usually between 5 and 8 million euros. A typical consortium would have between 8 to 15 partners, depending on the number of use cases that are going to be explored during the project. And the geographical distribution has to be relatively balanced. So there's usually a necessity to have 3 minimum partners per project from 3 minimum territories. But you would usually involve substantially more between the 8 to 15. There has to be a kind of a logical balance between the distribution of the different partners. You should aim to have different profiles within the projects. So academic partners, technology providers, SMEs, or larger end users. Then, if relevant, clusters and regional authorities can also be involved for the dissemination or the standardization, different regulation that may be relevant for the different projects. You obviously, academic partners and technical providers are an absolute necessity because they also attest to the innovation of the project and the fact that it goes beyond the state of the art. TRL level we mentioned, so generally between 3 and 5 or 5, but 7, 8. And then obviously I mentioned for the duration for about 3 to 4 years. Each application that you write, the part B being the wordy part with the description of the projects themselves, will be judged on 3 criteria. So excellence, impact, and implementation. We talk about excellence, we're talking about the clarity and the relevance of the project's objectives. The project ambitions, so to what extent the solution is ambitious, addresses multiple technological challenges, it goes beyond the state of the art. Linked to the call for proposals, and obviously the concept and the methodology that is new that the project brings, and that will contribute to the expected results of the project. In terms of the impact, we're talking about the expected results and the impacts on economic, environmental, and societal. So short-term and medium-term, and obviously supported by data, which will help lend confidence to your proposition. The quality of measures, so to maximize the expected results and the impacts. So in terms of the communication, in terms of the dissemination, the exploitation plan for the technology itself, and the valorization of the research results, so through publications, through conferences, etc. In terms of then implementation, so the quality of the proposed action plan in terms of the actual work that will be carried out in the project, so the tasks and the work packages and the budget that's been distributed, the resources that have been distributed per task, per work package, per partner, and the overall relevance that has with regards to the ambition of the project itself. Obviously, there's a big subject about the complementarity of the consortium. So what each partner brings to the project and the balance that gives in terms of skills and experience in achieving the goals that have been set out in the project itself. So just a little bit of advice, try and avoid geographical imbalance. So, make sure that you have your 3 partners from 3 countries, and then, well, it's not to make sure, it's a necessity if you want to apply, but also try and make sure that there's a nice balance then between the different countries that are involved or the different regions that are involved in the project. And obviously the complementarity in terms of the expertise. It's interesting to work with partners that you've previously worked in before, because you can demonstrate that there's a good relationship that's in place. And that's always something that's positive in terms of the expected impact and the success of the project from the evaluator's point of view. Try and have obviously a combination I mentioned of the different profiles, and then obviously use cases that are significant to represent the challenges that you've set yourself in the project, and then also avoid, when possible, partners who have a quite low responsiveness, because you need to be very proactive when you're developing the projects. You need to get out in front, and you need to try and plan a little bit ahead, and you need partners that are contributing and that are actively contributing to all of the different parts. Avoid subcontracting key tasks of the project, because you kind of discredit your capacity for achieving the results when you say the innovation will be done by somebody else who's not directly involved in the project. It's also another way of saying that you might not have the skills or competences to deliver on what you've said. So subcontracting, yes, but the key tasks should always be within the consortium. In terms of the proposition, obviously you have to link it with the objectives. You need to present the project directly in line with the expectations of the call, and you'll see when you dig into European project call descriptions, you'd see that they're very clear on what they're expecting as well. So you need to be very well aligned. You need to demonstrate the long-term impacts. You need to have a clear division of the tasks and the work packages and the budget that goes with them. And then obviously, if you can have your proposal read or reviewed by experts, that is definitely things that are going to help your proposition. All of the cluster organizations usually propose this service of rereading and commenting and criticizing, or with objective criticism, obviously, the different proposals. So don't hesitate to ask us about that. Avoid obviously unrealistic ambitions for the projects, and then avoid also paraphrasing the program. You have to demonstrate that you've given a lot of consideration to how the technology that you wish to develop contributes to the call program, and obviously don't minimize the risks. If you can identify the risks and you can put in place action plans for the risks that you've identified, that shows that the project idea is quite mature and that the partners are ready to handle it. And then in terms of calendar, I would say just very quickly, try and get ahead of it insofar as possible. There's some calls here that are coming up in April, so I'd say we're kind of really last minute at this point, but there are other calls obviously that we've identified for next February. So insofar as possible, you should really try and get out in front and try and get the try and take your time to choose your partners in advance and see where your expertise can sit in relation to the calls. If you have the opportunity, attend info days, either in Brussels or elsewhere, or even online. Pitch your company, pitch your project, and then obviously try and contact entities that are likely to be interested in the call as soon as possible. So avoid right at the last minute. And the legal annexes and the administrative information, try not to do that at the last minute, because sometimes you might have signature loops that can take quite a long time. So don't underestimate that. And obviously don't submit on the last day, try and submit a little bit before. I won't stay too long in this, but as I was saying, the main points of interest for us in the Pillar 2 are, so Cluster 4, digital industry and space, Cluster 5, climate, energy and mobility, and a little less so, but from time to time there are calls that for green manufacturing are definitely relevant. Cluster 6, so food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture and environment. So we've done a little selection of calls for you today. I won't spend too much time on this because we'll do a Zoom in a minute. But obviously, so the first one here we have advanced, so newer enhanced innovative advanced materials for enabling sensing functionality. So it's a research and innovation action, and that's they expect to finance 3 projects, so for about 6 million euros, or about 8 million euros, sorry, per project. And that again, so the expected deadline is 15th of April, so it's coming up very fast. The second one on the list here, so Horizon. We have accelerating the discovery and development of chemicals and innovative advanced materials through digitalization and artificial intelligence. And so again, on the 21st of February, it's coming around pretty fast. We have a much larger budget for this project, so it can go up to about 16, 17 million euros per project, and they expect to finance 3 projects in total. The next one in our list then is circular and innovative advanced materials, so facilitating the transition from design to markets. This then is a research and innovation actions. Again, deadline of 21st of April, and they expect to finance 6 projects for more or less 6 million each. Then we have advanced manufacturing for key products, which is one of the Made in Europe partnerships, and so it's related to circular manufacturing and materials. Again, we'll close on the 21st of April, and so more or less 6 to 8 million euros per project in general. The last one just on this first slide, so it's innovative advanced materials and new production processes, so reducing dependency on critical strategic raw materials. This is part of the innovative advanced materials for the EU and the process for planet partnerships, which are specific kind of subgroups of calls. So again, 6 million euro per project, and they expect to finance about 6 million, about 6 projects, and that call will close on the 27th of February. I'm going to keep going. Sorry, I probably didn't mention pump. Got lost in my slides. Apologies. Yeah. I'll be doing just afterwards a Zoom on 2 particular calls. So the advanced manufacturing, secondary raw materials, so materials production 02, and then the factory processes and automation for D and remanufacturing. So I'll go into them a little bit later. But then we also have So circular innovative materials and circular innovative advanced materials. So facilitating the transition from design to markets, which is for the 2nd of February. We have textile circularity through advanced manufacturing technologies and system approaches, which is again for the 2nd of February. And then Horizon CL4 materials production 32, which is efficient energy input from renewable sources and energy management in process industries. So again, process for the planet and innovative advanced materials for EU partnerships. That's a 60 million budget and a two-stage call. So you have to submit your first stage for the 2nd of February, and then the second stage, I believe, in September 2027 if you're accepted for the first stage. So these slides we'll send to you after. So I'll go into more detail. I'll go into more detail on 2 of these calls, but we'll send these slides to you after so you can have the information on the other calls if some of them were of interest to you, or we could talk about them a little bit after if you prefer as well. So the first one I want to talk about was factory processes and automation for de- and remanufacturing. So as part of the Made in Europe partnership. So total call budget 36 million, expected project 6. And again, this is for a full year from now. So the 2nd of February 2027 is when we have to submit. Research and innovation action, so it's financed at 100%. And the TRL that is expected there between 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 at the end of the project. In terms of expected results, so the proposals should contribute to transforming European manufacturing towards more circular, resilient and automated factory operations, including outcomes such as stronger circular manufacturing ecosystems, a more capable industrial base for de- and remanufacturing, supporting reuse and refurbishment at scale and increasing competitiveness in European manufacturing. Breakthrough de- and remanufacturing technologies, so new or improved processes, tools, and automation solutions that enable efficient disassembly, remanufacturing, and reintegration of products and components into value chains. Higher component functionality retention, so techniques and processes that retain or upgrade product functions during demanufacturing and remanufacturing, and then increasing resource efficiency and product life. Skills, standards, and safety development, so enhancement of workforce skills and industry standards relevant to automated circular production. So the scope of the call, so the project should develop factory level solutions that drive circular production through automation and digital technologies. And this includes obviously technologies and systems for predictive analysis of part production and maintenance support, particularly for reuse or remanufacturing of components. Automated disassembly solutions and associated robotics or smart factory integration for demanufacturing. Tools and methods that integrate automation with data-driven quality control to support remanufacturing workflows, and contributions to process standardization, workforce competencies, and safety frameworks that underpin circular factory operations. For the second call, we wanted to do a zoom on, so the materials production 02, so advanced manufacturing for key products. In terms of the expected results, we have availability of advanced manufacturing technologies, so new or improved manufacturing technology and machinery become accessible and deployable in Europe for the production of key and high-performance products. Increased circularity in production, so where applicable, manufacturing processes incorporate the reuse of secondary raw materials and/or innovative materials that improve product performance and quality. Enhanced resource efficiency, so significant gains in efficiency in the use of both materials and energy production, or during production. Energy during production, not energy production, excuse me. Very important difference. Stronger industrial competitiveness and resilience, so increased circularity, productivity, and competitiveness to strengthen the resilience and strategic autonomy of European industry. The scope for that call then, so project should focus on developing and demonstrating advanced manufacturing technologies and machinery that drive excellence in production of strategic key products within Europe. And so this includes technology development, process innovation, and systems integration aimed at cutting-edge manufacturing solutions that support European leaders in producing high-performance products. Approaches that embed circularity and sustainability in manufacturing, so for example, through better use of secondary raw materials and/or incorporation of innovative advanced materials into products. And lastly, improvements in production efficiency, quality, flexibility, and digitalization that can contribute to competitiveness and industrial autonomy. So it's an innovation action, 70% financing, TRL level 4 to 5, and then at the end of the project it should be about TRL 7, and they expect to finance 6 projects for a budget of about 6 million per project. It's more or less, and it's not the bottom line, but. So just maybe some last words on my side. Obviously, we'll be sending on the slides. I will send on the slides to all of the participants, so don't hesitate to come back to us if they're one of the particular calls. We can set up some specific points to deal with that after. But obviously, don't hesitate to contact us at the Green Alliance for the Alliance for Green Manufacturing, and also all of your individual cluster partners, because obviously we can help you to identify the calls that are interesting. We can help you to find partners for the different projects, so on a European level. We can review your proposals and critique and analyze and try and help you mature them. We can also, which is the case for most clusters, have external experts within our networks who can reread your proposals and challenge them from the scientific point of view. Some clusters propose to write and to support the proposal building stage in terms of what you'd like to submit. And then obviously we can help you to mobilize financial support also for the preparation of projects. In a number of countries, including France, you can have regional funding in order to pay for the preparation stage of the project. So don't hesitate to talk to us about that if there were any interest. I'm going to pass over to Thibault in just one moment, but I just wanted to say at the end of so we probably, I think between Thibault and Julien, I think we've probably got about 20 minutes or maybe 25 minutes of presentation. But we should also have a little bit of time at the end. If anybody would like to present their company at the end of the presentation from Julien, you're more than welcome to. And obviously we can have a time for questions and answers before that. But don't hesitate if you'd like to take 2 minutes to present your company at the end and the skills and competencies that you could bring for one of the calls. So with that, I'll pass it over to Thibault. You can tell me when to keep going with the slides. I'll keep moving. You just say next slide, please.
I think I might try to upload a presentation. I did a couple of last minute changes, so
no
that's
problem.
okay to you.
There you go. It's all yours.
I'll try to share my screen. Shouldn't be too long to switch. Looks like I'm all good, probably. The screen
Perfect.
is on. The screen appears
on large screen,
Yep.
possible. Full screen, sorry. Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks again for having the occasion to present Joule. So as you mentioned, I'm Thibault van Roden. I'm working at Polmecatech, which is a Belgian cluster in mechanical engineering, featuring around 400 members. Now I'm going to, before jumping into this Joule project that we are coordinating, and maybe a couple of words of introduction of that's working for Joule, but also for Julien that's going to present. What we're going to present now is a slightly different type of funding what Fergus presented earlier. Fergus presented the Horizon Europe call, so that's basically large calls, let's say big funding, as you saw. TRL levels, which have quite a wide range, and basically project where you, as a consortium, you participate, you solicitate, and you contractualize if you win with the Commission directly and you receive funding from the Commission. Well, here what we're going to present the opportunities are what we call cascade funding calls, and it's both of Joule and of Major. That's the case for both of these projects. Now it's a bit different because in these cases, what you have to see these cascade funding calls are actually calls which are organized not by the Commission themselves, but by consortium of partners that won a project from the Commission. So you contractualize if you win those proposals, not with the Commission directly, but let's say with the consortium that's organizing this. What it implies and what it means is that, of course, the amount of money are smaller, because that's a bit of the project money from these consortium that you receive. That's typically a couple of money from basically ranging from 20 to 60K. Yeah, that's the type of range you have. And of course, the TRL levels of the project that you can develop in the framework of these open calls are of very high TRLs. It's like normally ranges between 6, 7, 8. So that's I think a big difference to between what was presented just earlier. So it's very fit. Also, these type of calls normally it's well designed for SMEs. So that's the big, let's say, target groups of this type of call. Voilà, that's a bit the introduction before jumping into this Jewel project. This Jewel project it's a Euro. What is it? It's a project that was awarded in the framework of the Euro Cluster Call. It's an SMP program. I'm not going to get too much in details because we don't have time for this. There's a couple of other projects like Jewel that's been funded by the Commission. All these projects have started in October last year. 8 projects have been funded, and it will cover activities which are ranging in various type of business sectors and domains. And there's also 8 projects that have been funded that are dealing with net zero technologies, and that's the case. Jewel is one of these 8 projects. The objective of these projects and what the Commission is expecting from the consortium like us is to accelerate the adoption of net zero technologies, mostly, and to support SME innovation, to support some project ideas that you might have through a set of, let's say, services and open calls that I'm going to detail right now. The idea also of these open calls and these projects is also to act on the problematic of dependency, on EU dependency, and to try to increase the resilience of let's say, the various EU value chains. Now, Jewel, as I mentioned, that's to focus more on this project now. It's very much focused on the net zero technologies, and net zero technologies applied in the framework of manufacturing. It's a 3-year project with a budget of 2.7 million euros. 2 million of this budget are going to be awarded to SMEs participating in the framework of these open calls through the system of cascade funding that I was explaining you just before starting the presentation. The objective: accelerating net zero transition, support innovative SMEs, and also to generate a meta cluster at cluster level. So who is Jewel? Well, there's 7 countries represented, 8 partners, which are all clusters. Mecatech is one of them, but we have Italian friends from Emilia-Romagna, Cluster Mec, our colleagues from SIM in Auvergne-Rhône-Alpes. EMC2, of course, is one of the partners that you all guys know. Portuguese partner in tooling industry, Evoluma from Poland, and also Greentech from Latvia. And there's also our partners from Finland, from Merinova, which are active in this project. There's also a set, and this is what we try to do, we try to extend the reach of this project with a set of ambassador. This is actually a way to, let's say, attract also more SMEs, to attract more companies also in the network, and to expand the reach and offer also other opportunities if you want to create projects with more, let's say, country. And of course, the European Cluster Alliance for Green Manufacturing is involved in this Jewel project. Now, Jewel is, what can you get from the project as either as a company? Well, there's a knowledge hub activity that's developed. Workshops are going to organize, giving you content on net zero technologies and green manufacturing. There's individual mentoring that's going to be offered to companies that want to get to know more about net zero technologies, and also about possible support for possible project, and of course redirecting you and giving you access to experts' knowledge and other initiatives which are done on a regional base. Now, another thing that's going to happen is Jewel is going to organize, let's say, what we call a project factory. So we're going to organize a focus group gathering a couple of large companies or key, let's say, user companies, and at the same time, technological SMEs. And the idea is to have organized working groups of which are going to be organized by Net Zero Technologies to favorize the exchange of ideas, and also to help these small groups to engineer and to develop innovative ideas that will be able to be submitted in the funding window that you see just now. So that's the last component of Jewel. Jewel is going to organize 3 open calls. I was mentioning this earlier, which are going to fund in total innovation projects for a global amount of 2 million euros in total. And of course, we're going to, in the framework of the project, we're going to be able, for those who apply but who will not be selected because there's only a certain amount of monies and probably going to receive more application than there is funding, going also to be able to help you to find funding and to give you insights in how to access other funding opportunities, because there's plenty of them. The scope of Jewel, there's 3 application domains: key ecosystem, automotive, mobility and transport, energy intensive industry, the second one, aerospace and defense is the third one. And the key net zero technologies which are concerned here: battery and energy storage, hydrogen and fuel cells, electricity grid, and also transformative industrial technologies for decarbonization. So that's a fairly large scope. Keep in mind this scope. You're going to receive the slides anyway. I imagine. Yeah, you're going to receive the slides. So you're going to give this information because this is important also for the eligibility of the future open calls. Now, another slide on, another slide on Jewel, because Jewel is mainly targeted at SMEs. So SMEs, this is a complex slide, but I'm going to resume it very, very quickly. SMEs can receive what I explained before. So you get access to the 3 bricks I was mentioning: the training, mentoring, project ideation, support, and funding. But it's also possible for mid-cap and large companies to participate either as non-funded partner, but bring a use case that's solved by technological companies in, say, an application, a project, or also to take part in the focus group that I was presenting. Experts also are welcome to get in touch with us in Jewel, because we'll need external experts to analyze and to rate project proposals that receive. And clusters, partner clusters, are also interesting for us, because you guys can be multipliers of our action. Join a network of ambassadors that we're preparing to receive information, get better access of information also for your cluster. So there's let's say, different types of activities depending on the roles, the role that you have and the role that you would like to play in this project. Now, very briefly, because I see I'm reaching the end of my time. Very important point. Activities and agenda. I'm going to focus on also what's going to happen very, very short term. The focus groups I'm mentioning are going to start in autumn. We're going to get in touch with you probably earlier on, before the summer, to set them up and to create them. But the most important part, the online info session about the open call, the first open call of Jewel, is going to be organized on the 5th of March with a lot of information. And we're going to open up the first batch of open calls on the 30th of March. And here we're going to fund 10 projects, gathering 2 SMEs. And these projects can receive a funding of up to 54,000 euros, basically here. Here's a bit more information about the first open call, very briefly. This is an innovation open call, which is going to open the 30th of March. Who can take part? Well, manufacturing SME can take part to this. It's a consortium of two SMEs minimum, to be eligible, including a manufacturing SME. Has to be a transregional consortium. You get bonus points if you have not only a transregional but an international consortium. As I mentioned, large group, mid-caps, RTOs, they can join as partners, but they're not funding. And of course, subcontracting will be allowed, but capped to a max percentage. Probably it's in discussion because the call is currently being written, so we are putting the last dot. So what I'm presenting you is subject to, can change a little bit, but subcontracting normally 20 to 30%. We still have to fix this. The funding, how much money can you get? We expect projects of maximum 60,000 euros. You have to bring 10% of own funding. It can be in kind, of course. So the maximum funding you can get is 54,000 in lump sum, paid into installment. The usual costs are the usual ones. It's just like in Horizon Europe. These calls are not subject to de minimis rules, so it's very efficient, very easy. And you don't have financial reporting if you win a proposal with us. There's not going to be any financial reporting expected. We assess you on what you deliver, and we measure KPI measurement. And you receive the last installment if you reach the KPI that you proposed in your application. The scope and the format, what we expect, well, you have to cover one of Jewel's 4 key ecosystem. You have to, in the application domains and the case that you're going to develop in your project, has to be within the 3 ecosystems I was presenting in the slide before. It's an innovation project. The tier level that we expect, 7, 8, as we explained to you, has to be extremely close to the market. Typically, what we want to see is in the implementation of a functional solution, that you're able to demonstrate that the manufacturing company which is involved is basically has a green transition potential in what it is developing. Voilà, that's kind of it, I think, from my side. As I mentioned, 10 project. Yes, of course, you can become an ambassador. That's for clusters among us, if you're a cluster among us. There's a lot of interest for us to join. I'm above my time now, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this. If you're interested, you can get in touch with Evoluma cluster. We receive, let's say, registration from us and an ambassador kit. There's a lot, of course. It's quite easy to understand why it's interesting for you to become an ambassador if you look at the type of opportunity that is going to be foreseen in the coming time. Last thing I want to share with you, if you want more in detailed information about this open call, well, stay tuned. You can just use this QR code. You can flash this QR code to sign in for the official EU launch of the open call, which is going to take place on the 5th of March. And in this open call, you get more in-depth information about this dual call. And you'll get the chance, if you're interested to, we're going to open the floor also to pitch your project idea and to share with us the type of partner search that you have so that you can already start matching and look for a potential partner to develop your application. So hopefully you had time already to scan this QR code to register. That's it from my side. If you have any more question, idea, or let's say thought or whatever, you can contact me. You have my detail right there on the right-hand side of this slide. I'll stop here. And I leave the floor, I think, to Julien. No, that's the idea, Fergus.
Absolutely.
And I think we're moving to another sector with Julien, who is staying in Belgium. It's a Belgian day. Apparently, we're moving to the defense sector. And Julien is going to present us also a very, very interesting call for those of you who are specifically active in the cluster in the sector of defense. Julien, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Thibaut, and thank you, Fergus, for the opportunity. Before I jump into the presentation, I just wanted to share to you that the slide I'm going to present are shorter than the webinar we had last week or 2 weeks ago. So therefore, if you want to find a full presentation and the webinar, feel free to go on the website, which I put directly on the chat. So the major project is the first cascade funding within the European Defence Fund. And as such, in a nutshell, the project is large enough as it combines more than 35 beneficiaries across 10 member states. The budget overall is roughly from the European Commission 30 million euro, which includes 3.2 roughly millions budget directly for FSTP, or as we called cascade funding. It's roughly the same. The goal of this project is that we want to create various platforms across land, air, and naval domain. And for that, we benefit from the coordination of NLR, which is an aerospace center in the Netherlands. But the interesting part is that we work directly with 3 Prime in their respective domain in order to increase the fuselage of their air system, improve the material structure of the Navy ships, as well as the structure for the cabin into the land domain. So the purpose of this cascade funding is really that we want to establish a connection between SMEs and those large prime. And so that we're going to launch two calls for proposal. The first one is open now. And the call can be found also on our website, so I invite you to go there, but also on the EU funding tender portal. For this first call of proposal, we are looking for 30 maximum participants, for which we're going to provide during the program, outside all the advantages, some technical mentorship and technical alignment with the topic just roughly mentioned. So in summary, the goal of this project is not just to give you a funding, because it's 60K maximum per participant with a funding rate of 100%, so it's really a lump sum per grant. But the goal is really to establish this connection in the defense realm and to bring new players in order to enhance the overall technology opportunity in the defense realm. All countries eligible across EU, plus Norway indeed. But for this particular call, we also encourage Ukraine participations should they want to provide a concrete such solution. For this call, we only are looking for on SMEs only according to the EU definitions. And for that, there is an online tool if you don't think you, or if you want to know if you are fit under the SME conditions. For the Belgium entity, please be advised that the definition between the Walloon region and Europe might change a bit, so be sure to fulfill those requirements. The submission is pretty straightforward, maximum 5 pages, fully in English, so it's not a long one. So we had just a webinar, as I said, last 27 January. The call is now open, and we're waiting for the final document on the website. But you can apply up to the 25th of March, which is the deadline of the course. Then we're going to establish a first eligibility check. I'm going to go back into this specific element. Then the proper evaluation of this of your proposal. Then there's a final round of interview. So we expect for you to pitch your idea with a Q&A session with the consortium member. Then, of course, in June, we're going to communicate the results. We're going to onboard all the awardees, and the actual program start roughly end of summer, beginning of September. So for this first call of proposal, we have targeted 5 topics alongside the major project consortium member. Related to the material element mostly. So the first one is really multi-material domain for highway structure in the land, air, and sea domain. So you can expect in the air temperature range between -55 degrees. On the sea domain, like salty conditions in outreach ocean. In the land, mostly regarding the blast and shock effect on the platform. We're also looking for a solution in the innovative joining technology and automated process to actually create this new material for those same structure. We're also looking for embedded sensors architecture for structural health monitoring, for example, for event-based continuous monitoring. So you can expect a few scenarios. Then, of course, we're also looking for non-disruptive technique for maintenance and repair. So type of methodology that are able to provide us concrete vision of the material conditions and if they can be requalified for operations later on. And finally, some digitalization and AI decision support tool for overall structural assessment and maintenance at large. In terms of expectation of the program alongside the grant, you can expect the various type of activity. So we have designed 5 bootcamp. The first one will be mainly related to the setup of defense domain. What does it mean to work in defense domain? So I encourage you, if you haven't been working in that particular field, this is potentially something you would like to attend, because we will set the basis of what are the constraints of the domain, what does it take to sell your solutions in that particular field. We're going to have 3 different bootcamp on site in Rheinmetall domain and Airbus facility with a specific focus. So what are the constraints of the land, naval, and air domain? So keep in mind that your solution might be much more interesting if they're able to fulfill all the 3 domains at once. Then we're going to have a final demonstration day. So this is going to be an opportunity for you to showcase your solutions after the end of the program and actually showcase the concrete results of the work you have performed with us. In parallel to those physical, let's say, events of our meeting, you can expect to have full training and intensive mentoring with experts from the defense industry, academia, part of the consortium, but also experienced founder of defense startups and scale-up that are here really to help you supporting and shaping your business within the defense world. Of course, depending on your needs, which will be a core part of the program, we will provide you access to eventually international innovation and industrial network. For those who don't know Ignity, we accelerate not only major projects, but we also the Belgium accelerator for the Diana NATO project and the Belgium accelerator for the UDIS project at the European Commission level. So in terms of eligibility, as I mentioned, you need to be private entities. So unfortunately, research center and university are not eligible for this call. We need for you to be established in one of the eligible country, comply with the ownership control restriction, as we are under the EDF call in the defense world. We expect for you to be fully controlled by member states, aligning with the EDF regulations. Of course, some ethic and security requirement, operational capacity, first financial capacity requirement. We don't want you to disappear during the program, so we want to make sure you can actually go up to the end of this project. And of course, comply with the specificity of the call himself. So SME, I won't go into details. There's a self-assessment check depending on your situation that it can be found on the EU portal. Established entity I mentioned earlier, so the 27 member states, as well as Norway and Ukraine entity, which are encouraged to participate in this call. Ownership control assessment. So we need that you are controlled by actual EU members in EU member state in the call. Complying with the ethics requirement. This is a classical element in EDF project. And of course, security requirement, as we will perform security check at our level. As we work in defense, we won't work normally into classify element, but it might occur during the project. So be aware that you might be requested at some point to request security classification level. Then, of course, the operational capacity. So you have the team to actually implement the project. The financial requirement as well. There is a financial capacity check also on the European website, and we expect the applicant to have a score at least satisfactory level to be accepted for the financing. The specification of the call. So we expect to have legal autonomous entities. So we do not expect any consortium or any subcontractor. So it's really one company applying for this for this call. In terms of rules, so we expect the applicant can apply to up to several topics, but of course we don't expect you to apply several times for the same topic. Then in terms of full submission, you can refer to our submission portal. So with the proposal template, the guide for applicant, the technical topic for the content, the declaration for the agreement, and of course the model sub-agreement, which states all the requirements during the course. So should you receive, for example, the grant, you are expected to attend all the 5 boot camp that we have designed and as well participated in our mentoring project. So I won't go into details. Those are the basic rules of the submission portal. Those are the evaluation criteria, which falls in line with most European projects. So excellence, innovation, competitiveness, alignment with the EU defense technological priority, and as well as the implementation. So how your team is fully capable of delivering. Then there is the declaration of owner. This is a template can be found also on the website, as well as the guide for applicant. Then, of course, should you receive the grant, you will be requested to sign this model sub-agreement for the payment. For the evaluation process, so we after receiving all the applications, we will perform a first eligibility check, then an application evaluation. So 2 evaluators from the major consortium, but 1 external evaluator. And finally, we're going to have a consensus meeting to set up the first batch of the ranking list of the first interviewed company. Those companies will be requested to attend an interview in which you will pitch your idea in response to the question. And finally, we will have a final topic announcement to the awardees afterward. We expect also part of the eligibility, as we plan to interact with the domain lead, expect from those domain lead to actually evaluate and assess the viability and solution in regards to their own platform. So this is roughly the evaluation process, as mentioned earlier. This is again the full timeline. Should you have any question, there's the help desk on the Major Project website, so opencode@majorproject.eu. Feel free to ask a question. We will publish all the questions on the website on a rolling basis, as in terms of transparent agreement. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for my presentation. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much, Julien. And thank you very much, Thibaut. Maybe I'd open up the floor. Would anybody like to ask any questions regarding the presentations that you've seen? I didn't see any in the conversation, but there may be because I don't have access to it. But perhaps there's some question from those in the public. No? Okay.
Yeah, maybe you can have a little question, maybe to Julien about the open call. Thanks for the presentation. Very, very interesting. How about because your timing was very limited. You rushed through the different let's say criterias, and what's the status potentially of RTOs in the call? Can they participate in some way, unfunded or stuff like this,
No,
or like a subcontractor?
No, it's SME only, startup and SMEs only for this call.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Would anybody like to take the mic to introduce their company or their skills for a couple of minutes? No? Okay. Very well. Well, Julien, would it be possible for you to send me your presentation? The camera, the microphone is switched off.
Sorry. So as mentioned before the presentation, the full presentation is available on the website. So if you want to share it with the participant, it's downloadable there.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do that. I'll integrate it from there. So, and then, yeah, well, I'll send on the slides to everybody. And so just would say thank you again to Thibaut and to Julien for their presentations, and thank you all for being present this morning. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. And if you have any project ideas, don't hesitate. Also, we'd be happy to try and support you in elaborating the proposal, the consortium, whatever you need. Okay. So on behalf again of all the Green Alliance partners, thanks for your participation, and we'll see you soon, hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marius.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Le
Yeah.
lien de Jable dans la conversation.